Thank you very much for listening to this week's talk on the opening Seder of the book of Vayikra. And we are dedicating this learning to the safe and speedy release of all of the hostages in Gaza and the safety and success of all of the soldiers in the IDF as they continue their heroic and dangerous missions to keep the land of Israel and the people of Israel safe. And as we embark on this book of Vayikra, people may comment that the contents is something that at the moment we are not in a position, unfortunately, to really understand the korbanot, the offerings that occupy most of the book, and they struggle to find the relevance. But there are many different ways that we pick up on themes and we find the perpetual relevance, and also learning about these korbanot and the way of life of the Mishkan and the Beit HaMikdash. This is part of the mitzvah of eagerly anticipating the coming of Mashiach, that we are prepared. We're not just saying, oh, at the moment this situation doesn't exist, so we can't find that relevance. This is part of the mitzvah, and the learning that we do, even in circumstances that don't apply to us, we find that it's as if we have actually kept that mitzvah just by learning about it. So all these are various ways that we can gain a fresh perspective on the contents of Vayikra. And as we look at the opening words of the Seder, actually chapter 1, Pasuk 2, we see Daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta aleihem, speak to the children of Israel, and you will say to them, Odom ki yakriv mikem korban lashem, a person who will offer up from you a korban, an offering to Hashem. And the concept, the word of mikem, I mean, all of the words actually in the pasuk are words that sound fairly commonplace, but all of them are used and teaching us something quite unique. But this word mikem, this preposition, is certainly something that we could have gotten a very good sense that a person who is bringing an offering, these are the offerings that he should bring. We can't always see what is the purpose of having from you. Obviously, it's from the people, any person of this group of people. So there's a medrash, Yalkut Ma'ayan Ganim, and this medrash has a very interesting take on this specific word mikem that we're questioning. So why does the biblical text state mikem, of you? From here we derive that whoever fulfills the obligation to recite 100 blessings each day is considered as if he or she offered a sacrifice. How do we know this? From the Hebrew word mikem, of you, which has the numerical equivalent of 100. Mem, kaf, mem, 40 plus 20 plus 40 equals 100. So, in an essay on the book of Vayikra from a series called Torah Lights by Rabbi Shlomo Riskin, the idea is developed that because this word doesn't seem to serve a grammatical purpose, based on the gematria, based on the numerical value of the word mikem, which is 100, the parallel is made that just like when we are making these 100 blessings every single day, it's as if we are offering up from us. And then perhaps we can also gain a deeper insight into the word from us, that when we bring a korban, when we are offering an offering, I'm avoiding the word sacrifice as I've mentioned on previous occasions, and it is bringing a part of us onto the altar. And similarly, when we are making these blessings, we are also, it's not just a rote exercise. If one is brought up to make blessings and it's part of one's life, or if in the circumstances that one is not accustomed to making blessings, but it is something that should be a special opportunity to really give something from us. This is how we can understand the need for the word mikem. It has to be an intrinsic part of us, from us, that we are giving. And this really delves into the concept which is developed by Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, the Kuzari. And he says that when we say blessings, when we say these blessings, and the attempt to say 100 blessings every single day, whether it's the blessings as part of our prayers, in the standing prayers, for example, in the weekday prayers, we have 19 blessings every time we eat or drink something, every time we go to the bathroom, and that's not a good looking at mitzvahs that will apply to any specific day or any unusual activity that requires its own blessing. So as part of a day that doesn't have any particular festival, we can still aim to make these 100 blessings. And when we do that, we are developing a connection with Hashem. We are taking the events and the produce, the food, the drink that we have, and instead of just mindlessly putting it into our mouths or just not focusing on it, in an era where mindfulness has been rediscovered as such an important part of mental health, the concept of making blessings, the concept of making it mikem, from you, is really something that has such benefits to a human body and soul, literally. And when we talk about body and soul, we can talk about the potential to connect heaven and earth. And we could say, the earth corresponds to the body, the soul corresponds to the heaven. And there is actually a very interesting interpretation given by Rav Aaron Soloveitchik on the Talmud, Brachot 35a. And there are two contrasting texts. So Rabbi Levi asks concerning two contrasting texts. It is written, the heavens are the heavens of God, but the earth he has given to the children of men. That's from Psalms Tehillim 115, verse 16. And it is also written, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Psalm 115, verse 16. There is no contradiction. In the one case, it is before a blessing that has been said, and in the other case, after. So according to the Talmud, that when we say that the heavens are the heavens of God and the earth he has given to the children of man, that everything is essentially that there's like a complete separation between heaven and earth. And when we say that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, it seems to contradict that, because the previous verse we say that he has given the earth to men, but it's by making a blessing that the human being, as it were, earns the privileges of all of the creation, all of the aspects of creation that were created for man to partake, enhance, and really benefit from, and use responsibly. So all of this is a way of connecting heaven and earth, of enabling man to be part, to use all of that, the aspect of creation. And if we don't do it in this way, then it's as if we're stealing, effectively. So when we are making blessings, we are enhancing our sensitivity and awareness, and this is a vital part. This is mikem. This is what we achieve when we bring korbanot, and the parallel with 100 blessings, which apply at all times, when the temple is standing, during the period that we are not blessed to have the temple, and we look forward to its rebuilding. But Rav Soloveitchik makes a very interesting flip of this understanding of the Pasuk, because he says that when we make blessings, it's not that we get permission to use. That's like effectively, if we walk into a shop, this is the payment that we give over to the owner of the produce, and we then can benefit. Rav Soloveitchik says that when we make a blessing, we are letting God into this world. We are, in the same way that we built a Mishkan, that we built this tabernacle, a contracted small space for God to inhabit. When we are making blessings, it's as if the entire world and everything that is part of the creation of the world, the ongoing creation, whether it's animal life, all of the raw materials of the korbanot, which the animals, vegetables, fowl, and meal, wheat, grain produce, all of these aspects become a way of letting Hashem into the world. And when we are making the blessings, we are achieving a similar effect, that we are effectively letting Hashem into the world. And I think that when we view the words of the Pasuk, the concept of Korban, which we see comes from the root karov, which means to get closer, to draw near. And we are also elevating, with korbanot, with blessings, we are elevating ourselves, and we are elevating everything in the world above us. And that is something that is eternal. And this is, we can get that from the various sources of this week's Seder and the interpretations and the Talmud. But as we are approaching Pesach, and I wanted to include a Seder snippet as well that is told in the name of the Ishbitzer. And this is focusing on the Ashkenazi custom to eat a hard-boiled egg before the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch, the meal part of the Seder. So after we have recited the Haggadah and before we begin our meal, we have the custom to dip a hard-boiled egg into salt water and eat that. And explanations are given that the egg is something that is a symbol of the circle of life. It teaches us about resilience. An egg is something that gets harder the more it's cooked, in contrast to most other things that fall apart. And this shows us how, thank God, we as a nation, through our trials and tribulations, we have survived, we have endured, we have over the whole world people observing Seder and keeping the various mitzvot, and this is a symbol of our survival. But the Ishbitzer Rebbe pointed out a very interesting phenomenon specific to eggs and sort of the way fowl, birds, bring new life into the world. In contrast to mammals, where there is a live birth and one process of giving birth, the bird must lay the egg and sit on that egg, and that is stage one of the birth. And then stage two will be the hatching of that egg. And the Ishbitzer is saying that from this we can learn that the exodus from Egypt was stage one of our birth as a nation. But it was not the complete story. It was not that when we came out of Egypt, that we were free from Egypt, and that was the end of the story. The connection between going out of Egypt and the Omer, which actually works as a link to join the festival of Pesach to the festival of Shavuot, and that is when showing us that we need stage two, which is like the hatching. And when we are eating the egg, we are celebrating the miraculous freedom of Pesach, but we are also acknowledging that it is an incomplete story of our birth as a nation, which will only become complete when we hatch, as it were, and we come to the festival of Shavuot. And this is also another way of viewing the symbolism of the egg that we eat before the Seder. And please God, next week we can concentrate more on the concept of Shabbos Hagadol and also the Seder itself and but just to whet our appetites for hard-boiled eggs, that please God, everybody should be able to eat as they rejoice and recline as free men, please God, released from captivity wherever they may be held. And we should hear good news for our people. And please God, we should be blessed to see the Geula of Pesach be a constant national story. And wishing everybody Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for listening.